Have you ever lost something really important? Maybe your phone, your homework, or even your AirPods right before school. And then, like clockwork, someone in your family says, "Ask Saint Anthony." Most of us know Saint Anthony of Padua as the lost and found department of heaven. But here is the surprise. Saint Anthony is way more than just a search engine for your keys. He was a young man who lived with incredible courage, defended the poor, and helped people find things much more valuable than lost objects. He helped them find peace, purpose, and their way back to God. Anthony once said, "Actions speak louder than words." Today, in Stories of Heroes of the Faith, we'll discover why his life and his miracles still speak to us today. The heart of a hero. Anthony wasn't always Anthony. He was born Fernando in Lisbon, Portugal in 1195. He grew up in a comfortable home, but even as a teenager, he felt like something was missing. He didn't want fame or money. He wanted a real connection with God. He started as a scholar, diving deep into the Bible. But then he met the Franciscans, followers of Saint Francis of Assisi. They owned nothing. They were joyful, and they were on fire for Jesus. Fernando was so inspired that he changed his name to Anthony and joined them. He wanted to be a missionary in Africa, but life had other plans. He got sick, a storm blew his ship off course, and he ended up in Italy. At first, it looked like a total failure, but God was guiding him. Anthony would become one of the greatest speakers the church has ever known, a true friend to the poor and a hero to families everywhere.
The miracle of the foot. One day, Anthony was preaching about how important it is to honor our parents. In the crowd, a young man was hit with a wave of guilt. He remembered a moment of pure anger where he had treated his mother terribly. The young man was so upset that he went home and did something extreme. He actually hurt himself as a way of punishing his mistake. When Anthony heard about it, he didn't come to lecture him. He came with compassion. Anthony prayed over the young man, and tradition tells us he was miraculously healed. This miracle teaches us a huge lesson. When we mess up, we shouldn't run away from God in shame. We should run toward him. Anthony's message was simple. Let your words teach and your actions speak. Forgiveness and love have to start at home first. The truth revealed. There's another story about a family in deep pain. A father had stopped trusting his wife and refused to believe their newborn baby was actually his. The family was falling apart. Anthony saw their suffering. He knew that the truth matters, but he also knew that the truth should bring healing, not more hurt. In front of the whole town, Anthony turned to the tiny infant and asked the child to speak the truth. Imagine the silence. A newborn can't talk, right? But according to tradition, the baby spoke clearly, defending his mother's innocence. The father realized his mistake and peace was restored. This miracle reminds us that God sees the truth even when others don't. As Anthony said, charity is the soul of faith. Faith isn't just about rules, it's about love.
The donkey's choice. Here is one of the most famous and coolest miracles of Saint Anthony. A man in town didn't believe that Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist. He challenged Anthony to a test. The man kept his donkey from eating for 3 whole days. Then he brought the hungry animal out in front of a big pile of food. At the same time, Anthony walked out carrying the Blessed Sacrament. Everyone expected the donkey to sprint for the food, but instead, the donkey ignored the hay, turned toward Anthony, and knelt down in reverence before the Eucharist. For every Catholic teen and child watching, this is why we kneel at Mass. It's not just a habit, it's because we are in the presence of the living Jesus. Anthony teaches us to approach the Eucharist with total wonder. Preaching to the fish. Sometimes even St. Anthony had a hard time getting people to listen. One day, a group of people laughed at his preaching and walked away.
Did Anthony give up? No. He walked down to the shore and started preaching to the water. Suddenly, hundreds of fish, big and small, poked their heads above the surface, appearing to listen to every word. The people were stunned. If even the fish were open to God's word, why weren't they? Sometimes our lives get too busy or we get too distracted to hear God. But creation itself reminds us that God is near. Anthony taught that the Christian should speak with actions before speaking with words. Finding the way home. So, Saint Anthony of Padua isn't just the saint of lost keys. He's the saint who helps us find the things that really matter: peace, patience, and a way back to God. Through the miracle of the foot, he teaches us about forgiveness. Through the baby, he teaches us about truth. Through the donkey, he shows us the beauty of the Eucharist. And through the fish, he shows us how to listen. Next time you lose something, sure, ask St. Anthony for help. But also ask him to help you find the courage to say, "I'm sorry," or the faith to see Jesus in your life. St. Anthony of Padua, pray for us.